All right, guys, thanks for coming. I'm Anthony DiClementi. I'm a certified nutrition specialist and founder of thehealthblueprint.com. We help people lose weight, transform their bodies with nutrition. I'm also a member of the training staff downstairs at David Barton Gym. And today's presentation is on rapid fat loss for the business professional. So we're going to focus on how to eat healthy and stay in shape while you're on the road for work. We're going to go over 7 secrets, kind of go into some daily habits that you can take with you, and some little tips and tricks to help you stay healthy when you're traveling for work. So a survey was done recently where people were asked what prevents you from staying in shape. And the 2 challenges they named, first was not having enough time, and second was life on the road. So this entire presentation is to help mitigate the second challenge and overcome it. Some of the things that will help, these are apps for your smartphone, iPhone and Android, the Trader Joe's application, the Whole Foods application, MyFitnessPal, and the Omvana application. And we'll come back to each of those and explain why they're beneficial in a little bit. So the first step is to book a hotel near your work site. Typically want to choose a hotel that's about 1 to 1.5 miles away from your work site, where even if you're super busy and you don't have time to get in a workout, you're still able to walk to and from work and get about 10,000 steps in that day. So you're still physically active. And part of that, as you'll see with many of the tips in this presentation, is just planning ahead. And it starts with where you book your hotel and set up your camp each night. Number 2, call the hotel in advance and request a mini fridge. And you will see why a little bit later in the presentation. One of the big questions people ask all the time is when you're traveling, if you're flying or using any other mode of transportation, what's the best approach? What do you eat? Because a lot of airports and airplanes serve food that's not necessarily healthy. So your 2 options are to either feast or fast. I recommend feasting when you've eaten well for 6 days in advance. You've kind of planned, all right, I've got a work trip coming up, so I'm going to have my diet dialed in for the 6 days leading up to the trip. And then that way when I'm at the airport or the airplane serving food, you can eat whatever you want and not worry about it. And use that day to kind of give yourself a psychological and physiological break from dieting and just reset yourself for another 6 days of doing good. The second option is to fast. I recommend fasting where perhaps you haven't eaten well for the 6 days leading up to your trip. And the best approach for fasting is to eat a late dinner the night before and then plan on having around 16 to a maximum of 24 hours where you focus on drinking a lot of water, staying well hydrated, and you can also do black coffee or black tea, and just make sure you're not adding any sugars or creamers, artificial sweeteners, which we'll also touch on in a little bit. So those are your 2 choices when you're traveling. Healthy snacks that you can bring with you. Nick Sticks and Steve's Paleo Sticks, those are 2 brands. They're rare in the dehydrated meat and jerky category because they're from grass-fed and free-range animals, so they're healthy. It's animals that are raised in their natural diet, and they don't have any added sweeteners. So there's both great options that you can take with you, and they're easily travelable. You can carry them on. Most airlines allow them to go through security, so you're good there. You can also make a protein shake. The 2 types of protein that I recommend are Pure Paleo brand, which I have here, that you guys can check out after the presentation. Sun Warrior Blend, or Vital Whey. Vital Whey is for people who do tolerate dairy well, and so don't have any dairy sensitivities, and it's a non-denatured bioactive whey protein that comes from grass-fed cows. Third option is raw nuts, like raw almonds, raw hazelnuts. You can pack a small bag of those and bring those with you, and those work as well. So those are 3 healthy snack options, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on some other healthy snacks that are allowed on carry-on flights a little bit later. A suggestion for the protein powder, if you don't want to carry around a big one of these protein jugs, you can get some of these smaller Ziploc bags. They're about this big, and you fill those, each bag, with about 2 scoops of high-quality protein. If you want, you can add in a greens mix, like Green Vibrance, so that you're still getting your vegetables. You can add raw cacao or raw chia or hemp seeds. You mix that all in a bag, and then you bring like 1 or 2 of those for each day that you're going to be traveling, and you can easily just mix it up with water anytime you have a water fountain. Just take your shaker bottle, dump in the contents of the bag, fill it up with water, shake it up, and you're good to go. The next step, find your grocery store. So using one of those applications that I mentioned earlier, the Trader Joe's application or the Whole Foods application, You can use those in any city in the United States to find the closest healthy grocery store that's in close proximity to your hotel, and use that to get yourself some healthy groceries, and I'll give some suggestions there shortly. Next step, buy groceries. Here are some of the convenient foods that are also healthy for losing weight when you're on the road. Applegate Farms is a popular national brand of lunch meat. All of their meat is hormone and antibiotic free, so you can get yourself some packages of roasted turkey breast. Trader Joe's in particular has wild-caught smoked salmon that comes ready to eat in these convenient packages. They also offer grilled chicken breasts. Similarly, Whole Foods has a deli section where you can get grilled chicken breasts and a lot of foods like that that's ready to eat. You can buy a bunch of it at once, have it in your mini fridge because you already requested it, you're good to go. You can get mixed veggies, and here we have some other, I'm not going to go down the entire list, but if you guys want a copy of the presentation after we're done, I'd be happy to send that over. Those are some other items that go well and are pretty easy to keep when you're traveling. Number 6, and perhaps the most important part of the presentation, is your daily routine. So this is kind of a routine that I recommend when you're on the road that fits in well with a busy professional schedule and allows you to keep your results and even make progress when you're away from your home. First, wake up 90 to 120 minutes before your first scheduled event. This gives you time where you're not rushed, and it will allow you to go through some of the activities and daily habits I'm about to recommend. After 8 hours of sleep, or even less than that, I know some of us only get 5 or 6 some nights, you're dehydrated. You haven't had any water all night, so it's important to rehydrate with at least 32 ounces or more of water, because dehydration prevents your body from burning fat. It slows down your metabolic processes. So immediately wake up, drink 32 ounces of water, get yourself hydrated, and get yourself burning fat right away. If you're going to drink coffee, now is the best time to do it. There's been a number of health benefits associated with coffee. For many people, it does depend on your genetics to some degree, but if you drink coffee and you feel good when you drink it, it energizes you, you have heightened mental clarity, you don't get anxious or jittery, then coffee is probably good for you. If you have some of those other effects, then it may be better to stay away from coffee. But for the coffee drinkers, now is the best time to drink it, particularly before you do some sort of fasted morning workout. Coffee's also been shown to increase lipolysis, or fat burning, so that you burn more fat from your workouts that you're already doing. When you drink coffee, you do want to stick to regular black coffee, espresso, cafe Americanos, black tea, or green tea. Don't want to add any artificial sweeteners or sugars or dairy, because many people do have dairy sensitivities, and all of those additives can get in the way of gut health and spike blood sugar and insulin levels, which will interfere with fat loss. Make sure you're drinking water throughout the day. A good barometer for how much water you should be drinking, you take your current body weight, multiply it by 0.7, and that's how many ounces of water you want to drink each day. So it's a simple calculation you can take, and you've already got 32 ounces down, so then just kind of pace that out. You're best off drinking your water away from meals so that it doesn't dilute your stomach acids and interfere with optimal digestion. So just drink it throughout the day, ideally 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after meals. Perform a 5-minute morning workout. Now this is again to kind of front load your day, get some of the important stuff out of the way, where maybe we plan on doing a workout after work, but you come home, you're exhausted, you don't have time. We've all been there. So what you can do is you can get 5 minutes of hard work out of the way in the morning, and that way you've been walking a lot, you've got a 5-minute workout. Even if you come home exhausted and you don't have time to get in a workout after work, you've at least done something to move you towards your goals. A simple workout that you can do is a combination of air squats, making sure to get your hips down below your knees, pushing your knees out, maintaining proper form, push-ups for guys, touching your chest to the ground, for girls, getting your arms to 90 degrees, and then when you can't do that anymore, going on your knees and doing modified push-ups, and jumping burpees. Doing any combination of those 3 exercises for at least 100 reps with proper form. That should give you a good 5-minute workout. If you want to throw in a bonus, add 60 minutes of wall sits. Again, getting your hips parallel to your knees so that your thighs are parallel to the floor, and stay in there for about 60 seconds. Stress management. One of the best ways to prevent yourself from getting stressed or help stay calm is to start your day off with some relaxation and stress management activities. A really simple way of doing this is to download the Ombana application and listen to the 6-phase meditation read by Vishen Lakhiani. He walks you through a series of exercises ranging from gratitude and getting yourself thankful for the things you have in your life so you feel just more appreciative and happy to start the day, to visualizing your perfect future, all the things that you want in your life. He takes a 3-year stance where you think about where you want to be 3 years from now, and then you visualize all those things in your life, and then you think about, all right, what do I need to do today in order to make those things happen? And then you kind of walk through a visualization exercise of your day. Think about all the specific steps you're going to take in order to get you to where you want to be in 3 years. And it's all done while kind of relaxing and breathing deep and helping yourself chill out so that you get to the office and the first fire drill that comes up isn't sending you into red alert. So you're kind of just better able to handle the challenges that the day brings your way. Other stress management suggestions are deep breathing, meditation, yoga, outdoor exercise. Part of that is already worked into the daily routine with just walking to and from the office. Avoid or minimize caffeine and stimulants, particularly like ADHD medications. If you do take those, try not to take them within 8 hours of going to bed because it can interfere with sleep, and then the problem kind of continues and rolls into the next day. And then occasionally you can have a glass of red wine here and there in moderation. That helps. For breakfast, on the road, I recommend skipping breakfast. A lot of hotels have foods that are pretty high in processed carbohydrates and foods that are going to spike your blood sugar and insulin and create a roller coaster that's going to have you hungry 2 or 3 hours later and finding yourself eating more of those foods because that's typically what's readily available. So rather than eating donuts or bagels or cereal, it's best off skipping breakfast, following an intermittent fasting protocol where you make lunch your first meal of the day. And I'll explain some of the benefits of intermittent fasting here in just a second. The 3 major benefits are increased insulin sensitivity and mitochondrial energy efficiency, so your body's more able to take your the food, convert it to glycogen that you can then use for energy, and transfer that sugar from your blood into your cells. You'll also have more energy. It reduces your oxidative stress, and it helps give you an increased capacity to resist stress, disease, and aging. A recent human study even confirmed that intermittent fasting was actually more effective for weight loss and improved insulin resistance more than calorie restriction. Here are some other studies on intermittent fasting, the most recent of which was by Intermountain Health Heart Center, which found that intermittent fasting boosted human growth hormone by 1,200% in women and 2,000% in men when they fasted for periods of 24 hours, which is pretty impressive. HGH, as you probably know, is one of your body's major fat-burning hormones and also a popular anti-aging hormone that many celebrities take and spend a lot of money on to continue looking young. It can reduce inflammation and it can lessen free radical damage, all of which have beneficial effects on your health. So your best bet is to instead stick with a cup of black coffee. When you're fasting, you want to make sure you're avoiding protein and carbohydrates. You can do some healthy fats. So some people, on the road this is a little bit harder, but typically when people are following an intermittent fasting protocol in their home, they can do coffee with maybe like some full fat creamer from grass-fed cows, which is pure fat. So your body isn't able to take that fat and convert it into carbohydrates, which it can do with protein through the process of gluconeogenesis. Coffee is also a powerful appetite suppressant. It has many other health benefits, from anti-cancer properties to improved cognition, decreased risk of Alzheimer's and dementia, and decreased risk of gallstones, particularly in men. Again, you want to avoid creamers unless you are not sensitive to dairy and you have a full-fat creamer from grass-fed cows. You want to stay away from sweeteners and gourmet coffee drinks, so go with like the Cafe Americano or black. Those are your 2 best choices. Coffee also prevents the consumption of snowball foods, like I mentioned earlier, because it is an appetite suppressant. And there are a lot of myths you've probably heard, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and if you skip breakfast, your metabolism is going to slow down. A lot of the scientific literature has shown that to not be true, and in fact, it matters as long as you're hitting the correct amount of protein and calories for the day. Your energy is going to be maintained, and it's not a matter of you need to eat it within 30 minutes of waking up or anything like that. You don't have to worry about your metabolism slowing down. A lot of it is just wives' tales and myths. Second option is if you do get a hard workout in the morning, you can have your first meal 30 to 45 minutes after your workout. This gives your body an extra 30 to 45 minutes to stay in the fat-burning zone, keeping your metabolism high and burning fat. You want that first meal to be high in protein, with at least 30 grams of protein, high in veggies, and low in carbs. Ideally, no carbs, except for those coming from healthy, non-starchy green vegetables. Here's a few studies that show that dietary protein increases weight loss. Typically what we do with our clients is we calculate the specific amount of protein that each person needs to consume in order for them to optimize their weight loss. But because we can't do that for everyone in the room, an easy target is to make sure you're hitting at least 30 grams per meal and at least 90 grams per day. A few of these studies just showed beneficial effects of protein, and particularly complete proteins, which contain all 9 essential amino acids. And sources of complete proteins include meat, fish, poultry, eggs, those types of foods. Some more benefits of higher protein intake. Thermogenesis, also known as the thermic effect of food, which is the amount of energy our body requires in order to break down food. So out of the 3 macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fat, protein takes the most energy in order to break down. There's a few theories on this, but as I mentioned earlier, that gluconeogenesis is the process whereby the body takes dietary protein and converts it into glycogen, and it's a very energy-intensive process. So that may be one of the reasons that protein-induced energy expenditure is higher than fats and carbohydrates. Another reason is satiety. When you eat protein with meals, you're more likely to feel fuller longer and less likely to need to snack or eat foods that would take you off of your plan. Protein also minimizes the blood sugar spike and subsequent insulin release. It slows the absorption and digestion of sugars and carbohydrates that are contained in the other food you're eating in that meal, so it keeps your blood sugar stable. And it helps you maintain lean body mass despite negative energy balance. So when you're trying to lose weight, you all probably know that while the antiquated approach of calories in, calories out has been proven false, it is important to create a negative energy balance where you're using more energy than you're taking in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of elements involved and variables there ranging from your hormonal health and your metabolism and genetics, but consuming protein with your meals will help you to maintain lean body mass even when you're consuming in a negative energy balance, so when you're taking in fewer calories than you're using. And the last is energy efficiency. When a high protein diet allows your body to have the option of creating energy through the process of ketosis, which uses your body fat stores for energy, and gluconeogenesis, like we mentioned earlier, which takes dietary protein and then converts that protein into carbohydrates. The next step is to pack a lunch. So using some of the groceries that you just bought, plan ahead. You'll see a lot of this involves just thinking a little bit ahead and making sure that you're in a position where you're not going to be going for foods that aren't a part of your plan because you've thought ahead and made sure that you're prepared. So that is packing a lunch. For your lunch, your strategy is eat like a caveman. I recommend the 10,000 year rule. So ask yourself 2 questions. Did this food that I'm about to eat exist on Earth 10,000 years ago? And if so, did it exist in the form I'm about to eat it 10,000 years ago? And another just in case is pack yourself a mini meal, which is similar to your lunch, but just a little bit smaller. And that's in case your lunch doesn't get you all the way to dinner, you still have something else there to kind of as a backup plan. Your lunch template. Eat only lean meats, fish, eggs, vegetables, whole fruits, and water. No sugar, no starch. It is proteins, fats, and vegetables with low carbohydrates. If you're leaner and still hungry, fresh fruit can be your dessert. If you're trying to lose weight, I recommend saving fruit for dinner on days that you've worked out and been really physically active. So high protein, high veggies, low carbs. Next step, walk to your work site. Get another mile and a half, help you get to your 10,000 steps a day goal. Next suggestion, don't drink your calories. So stick with water, tea, coffee, and unsweetened almond milk. Make those your primary beverages. Stay away from artificial sweeteners and zero-calorie drinks. If you need a post-lunch boost, typically that's because a lot of people consume processed carbohydrates and breads and things like that that cause a blood sugar spike and then a subsequent dip. So if you stay away from that, you may find yourself with steady, higher levels of energy throughout the day anyhow, but if you still experience a post-lunch dip, you can get yourself Ito-En green tea, which is available at Whole Foods and doesn't contain any sweeteners or artificial ingredients. Or you can get Trader Joe's has green tea that comes in like these big 33-ounce glass bottles. Again, no artificial sweeteners or any additives. It's just straight brewed green tea the way you want to drink it. And if you need a little bit more boost, you can add 1 to 3 squares of dark chocolate, ideally greater than 70%. The example there is 74%. But the higher you go in the dark chocolate content, the lower the sugar content, and the more beneficial polyphenols and antioxidants you get because it has higher concentrations of cacao. Next step, do your stuff at work, and then walk home. Another mile and a half. If you're really looking to ramp things up, this is the best time to do a fasted weight training workout. So this workout is best done after having not eaten for 4 to 5 hours, so your body's in a fasted state, makes you more likely to go to body fat stores for energy. And Yeah, so the best way to do that is to make sure you have not eaten for 4 to 5 hours before that workout. So let's say you're planning on doing your workout at 6 p.m. You want to make sure that your last meal or snack was at 1 or 2 p.m. Here's a healthy workout I put together for you guys. I won't go through it step by step because it's pretty lengthy, but if it's something you're interested in, this is something you can do in any hotel room. It only requires about 6 feet of space and your body weight, and you can do it with couches, chairs, anything that allows you to elevate your feet and create an incline and decline position. What's important is I'll kind of give you the format for it that I use, and then if you guys want the exact workout, I can send that over. But I call it the UML workout. So what you do is you pick an upper body exercise, you pick a middle core exercise, and you pick a lower body exercise, and you repeat them. And each time through is 1 round. You try to shoot for 5 rounds. So an example of an upper body exercise would be a set of push-ups, followed by a set of abdominal crunches, sit-ups, followed by a set of body weight deep squats. You know, getting your hips down below your knees. That would be run 1 round, rest for a minute, and then you do the next round. Different variation of an upper body exercise, different variation of a middle, and a different variation of a lower body exercise. And then if you want at the bonus, as a bonus round, after 5 rounds, you can do, if you're physically active, you don't have any knee problems, you can do a round of tuck jumps, shooting for like 40 tuck jumps, jumping up, touching your knees, just enough. All right, post-workout nutrition. Again, wait 30 to 45 minutes after your workout before having dinner. And for dinner, it's going to follow a similar format to lunch. However, for dinner, you're going to add 1 serving of safe starches if you've worked out. Safe starches include sweet potatoes, yams, Japanese potatoes, squash, whole organic fruit like apples, pears, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. You do want your fruit to be organic because a lot of fruit has been crossbred and hybridized to contain higher amounts of the sugar fructose. So organic fruit typically is better in that regard. And white rice if tolerated. Some people eat white rice and they tend to just not feel so good afterwards. So just feel that out based on your genetic makeup and how you do with rice. Here's a study that shows how safe starches with dinner help improve sleep. A lot of safe starches and carbohydrates contain the amino acid tryptophan, which is a precursor to the neurotransmitter serotonin. Serotonin is what's produced in Prozac. It's what's increased by taking Prozac, and it's our body's feel-good neurotransmitter that helps with feeling good, optimal rest, relaxation, having lower levels of stress and anxiety. So this is that study that talks about why we want to do carbohydrates with dinner as opposed to with breakfast, like you may have heard in some of the literature. Here's a list of everything you can eat while traveling, rather than going through it one by one. Again, if you guys want to copy this presentation, I'd be happy to send that. Your list of proteins, you got meat, chicken, turkey, fish, different varieties, protein powder, as I mentioned earlier, fats, almonds, cashews, Brazil nuts. Again, you just want to make sure that you tolerate nuts well. Some people have histamine sensitivities or do better on low food map diets. So just play that out. If you eat nuts and feel good, then you're good. If you eat nuts and kind of feel kind of icky, maybe you're better staying away from it. Vegetables, arugula, spinach, onions, peppers, you get the deal. Fruits and safe starches that we mentioned earlier. Again, both of these are best eaten with dinner on days that you've worked out. Here is a list of approved carry-on items that you can take with you in order to eat on the plane, and so that you have some food as you transition from your home to the work site or the hotel, wherever you're staying. So dried and dehydrated meats like those Nick sticks and Steve's Paleo sticks that I mentioned earlier, hard-boiled eggs, certain fruits and vegetables, dehydrated shredded coconuts, almonds, dates, cashews, nuts, all that sort of thing. The best types of restaurants to eat when you're on the road are Japanese, Vietnamese, Thai, and steakhouses. At a Japanese restaurant, an example of what you might want to order would be sashimi with a side of rice, grilled meats or fish with rice, nigiri sushi, which is like the ball of sushi with the ball of rice with like the piece of sushi on top of it. Meat and vegetable dishes cooked in a broth. At Vietnamese restaurants, you want to stick with like fresh spring rolls, pho noodle soup with leaner meats, steamed fish or grilled lean meat plates with rice. Thai restaurants, Thai steak or chicken salad, chicken satay, chicken skewers, grilled fish or shrimp, grilled squid, fresh spring rolls, wrapped in unfried rice paper, grilled or steamed vegetables, and a side of rice. And at a steakhouse, you want to go with leaner steaks like filet mignon or sirloin, fish, chicken, shellfish, cooked dry with a plain baked potato. Some good resources that I recommend are healthydiningfinder.com. or goodfoodnearyou.com. Both allow you to just hop online real quick and find out restaurants that serve healthy options in your area. And it makes dining out a lot easier. You can also use the trusty Yelp.com website and just do a healthy restaurant search. All right, sleep is critical. So some of the things I recommend for maximizing your quality of sleep, both in duration and making sure that you hit that REM sleep and are recharged for the day. Set your bedtime at least 7 hours before your morning alarm. So let's say you know you're going to be getting up at 5 a.m. Again, this kind of ties back into planning ahead. Make your bedtime 10 p.m. If you need, you can set a recurring alarm on your phone. A lot of smartphones have this option now, so that it goes off and you're like, okay, I need to go to bed. Stop whatever I'm doing and get your butt where you need to be. If your bedtime is 10 p.m., you want to turn off all electronics at 9 p.m. The reason being that electronics, the blue light in electronics like your computer, your television, your cell phone, suppresses melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone that's produced in our brain that helps us to feel tired and get a deep level of sleep. So if you're staying up late watching TV, playing on the computer, responding to people on your cell phone, you're suppressing melatonin production and it's going to interfere with your quality of sleep. So make sure you turn all of those off at least 1 hour before you go to bed. A helpful application that you can use is called Flux, F.LUX. This you can install on your computer for free. It blocks blue light production from your computer. It uses your geographical location. So you enter your zip code, it figures out where you are and whether the sun has set or not, and as the sun sets, it increases its blocking of the blue light that's emitted from your electronic device. You can also get that in your smartphones, so I recommend installing Flux, and it's free. You can also get amber-tinted glasses, which look like this. Yeah, I'm a weirdo, I wear these things at night sometimes. But Amber actually went to Jewel last night. I had to get batteries. I had one of these for the presentation, and the AAA batteries died, and I walked to Jewel wearing my amber-tinted glasses. I'm like, everyone's got to think I have some sort of mental illness on these things. But in any case, the amber-tinted glasses, they're a few bucks on Amazon. They work well. They also block blue light from all sources, not just the electronic devices. So it's good to wear those as you kind of wind down and start getting ready for bed. Already mentioned. Make sure you're sleeping in a cool, pitch black room. You can wear a sleep mask. Wear earplugs, especially if you have a significant other that has a snoring habit. And again, make sure you're in bed at least 7 hours before your morning alarm goes off. Here's a few more keys to getting a good night's sleep. Do not consume alcohol at least 3 hours before bedtime. Alcohol can interfere with your quality of sleep, and in addition to setting off a blood sugar cascade that can have you waking up a few hours after you go to bed, feeling kind of shaky or like you need to eat some food. So do not consume alcohol at least 3 hours before going to bed. Shut down all electronics at least 1 hour before you want to be asleep. We mentioned that at least 3 times. Keep your room cool, ideally less than 68 degrees to slow your heart rate and trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is what's responsible for rest and digestion and helps you relax and calm down and reach a deep state of sleep. Make sure your room is pitch black without any light or noise pollution from electronics or alarms. Again, wear those amber-tinted glasses 1 to 2 hours before bedtime if you're okay looking like a nut. Use a sleep mask and earplugs to minimize disturbances. And optional, you can occasionally use 1 milligram of Source Naturals brand sublingual melatonin, which is for those instances where you're traveling and maybe you've changed time zones. If you want to start calming down and you're not feeling tired, you have to be up early the next morning. You put one under your tongue. It's better absorbed into the bloodstream, and 1 milligram is a pretty low dose. Oh, and you can also use a lacrosse ball for myofascial release. So you have here, lacrosse balls are perfect for getting into muscle tissue. If you're tense or tight, you can just roll on them. If your glutes are sore, your hamstrings, your lower back, you put the lacrosse ball on the ground, you roll, and it's also been shown in scientific studies to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system and help you calm down before going to bed. And it's small, so it's easy to travel with. And lastly, do not consume caffeine or stimulants like Adderall or ADD meds at least 8 hours before going to bed. If you've enjoyed today's presentation, you'd like more help, feel free to apply for our coaching program by emailing Anthony@thehealthblueprint.com. You can also sign up for our free newsletter, and or come down and visit us at David Barton Gym. We've also got a sign-up sheet here if you guys would like a free training session with Alex, Andre, or myself. We'd be happy to do that. And thank you for your time. Do you guys have any questions?
So white rice is better for you than brown rice?
Yeah, so brown rice contains a lot of anti-nutrients like phytates, which can interfere with digestion, and a lot of the argument for brown rice is that it contains more nutrients, but those nutrients are less bioavailable. So typically the reason for eating brown rice is that you want a good source of carbohydrates, and white rice gets you those carbohydrates because it's higher in them, and it doesn't come with a side of anti-nutrients and the molds that are prevalent in brown rice. But white rice, again, is typically best had just with dinner and on days you've worked out. For people that are trying to lose weight, they typically do better avoiding white rice or keeping it to a minimum unless it's been like a really physically active day.
And in terms of the intermittent fasting, is that just one meal or is it 24 hours like you mentioned? What is the definition of that?
Yeah, so there's a few different protocols for intermittent fasting. The most popular is a 16-8. So if there's 24 hours in a day, your feeding window is 8 hours and your fasting window is 16 hours. So during that 8-hour window, you can have one meal, you can have 3 meals, you can have 4 meals if you want. It's really just the amount of time that you're consuming food that matters. And that seems to be what people, especially business professionals, do best with. Another popular protocol is picking like 2 days a week that you're going to do a longer fast in the 16 to 24-hour range. And you just have dinner the night before. Let's say you have dinner at like 7 p.m. And then you just wait like 16 to 24 hours before you have your first meal the following day. Sticking with as much water as you want to drink, black coffee, black tea. If you want, you can also do like a can of light coconut milk, which is just healthy fat. You can do a tablespoon of coconut oil, because again, that's your body is not able to take those fats and convert them into carbohydrates. So those are some ways that can make the longer fasts a little bit more sustainable. And typically people do well starting off with like, all right, a 12-hour fast. And then the next time they do it, they try like 13 or 14 hours. And it gives your body a little bit of time to adjust and your insulin sensitivity time to improve.
I have a question. While we're here at the office, is there like a certain time period that you recommend getting up and walking around? Like usually I'm running from meeting to meeting, but every now and then it'll be like an hour or two and I'm at my desk and no shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that help with this. A lot of the scientific literature recommends getting up every 15 minutes. That's like where the most benefits are reaped. Sometimes that's not realistic given your workday. So what a lot of people do is they try to set a recurring alarm for every 30 minutes. So they at least get up, do like a few seconds of stretching, and get out of a seated position every 30 minutes. So optimal results with 15 minutes, realistically probably every 30 minutes. There's also things you can do with like Jawbone has an up 24 band where you can set it so that it buzzes every half an hour and reminds you to get up. So if you don't want to deal with your phone going off and like disturbing everybody else at work, you just get a little vibration in your wrist, and then you stand up, you do your thing, no one really pays attention, you sit back down, and you're good to go.
Going down the road to a brand new place, and I'll get there with a smile on my face, yeah, so lift me